us here? Why have you led us here to not give us the victory? You told us you were going to give us this land. Why are you not giving us this land?" And God says, "Joshua, get off the ground. Stand up. You know what's going on here." Basically, this is my paraphrase of what God is saying to Joshua. You know what's going on here. I told you I was going to give you the land, right? Right? I'm giving you the land. What does that mean you need to do? You give me Jericho. What do you think happened? So then God says to Joshua, "Take all the people, line them up. Start with each tribe, and select a tribe, and then from that tribe select the clan, and then from that clan select the family, and then from that family whittle your way down until I point out the person I point out to you." And Joshua does that, and he comes to Achan finally, and so he looks at Achan, and he says to Achan in verse 19, "My son, give glory to the Lord, the God of Israel, and give him the praise. Tell me, what have you done? Do not hide it from me." Achan replied, "It's true. I've sinned against the Lord, the God of Israel. This is what I've done. When I saw in the plunder a beautiful robe from Babylonia, 200 shekels of silver and a wedge of gold weighing 50 shekels, I coveted them and took them. They're hidden in the ground inside my tent with the silver underneath." So Joshua sent messengers, and they ran to the tent, and there it was, hidden in his tent with the silver underneath. They took the things from the tent, brought them to Joshua and all the Israelites, and spread them out before the Lord. And then it just gets bloody, because God then says, "Joshua, you need to expel evil from this fledgling community." And so Achan and all his family get killed, and all the stuff gets burned, and all of his possessions get burned, and it's just completely gone. And then they go into the land, and they defeat Ai and all the other cities that they go up against. But here's the line for you to write down. To prematurely take what God has not yet given is to bring destruction on us and those near us. See, Achan took something too soon. He took it from the wrong place. He took from the first fruits of the land. God says, "No, that's mine." Flip the note sheet over. There's another blank I want you to write down, and this is it. It's just simple and easy and unconfrontational. We are stealing from God. We are all guilty of stealing from God. See, the Bible says that I believe there are at least 3 ways. There are many more ways that we're stealing from God, but there are at least 3 ways. One is explicitly mentioned in the book of Malachi. God says to his people, "Okay, you're stealing from me. You're robbing from me. Why would you do that?" And the people say, "How are we robbing you, God?" And God says, "Okay, let me just get explicit with you. The tithe. Whenever you don't bring your tithe into the storehouse, that's stealing from me," God says to them. Now, the tithe was a biblical principle from ancient times of saying, I'm going to acknowledge God by taking 10% of what he's given to me and give it back to him. I'm going to give him that. This is my money. I'm going to take 10%. I'm going to give some to God. And so up until that moment in time where Moses began to establish the law, the tithe was just sort of, an offering of worship. I'm going to give God something, and 10% seems like a good number, so I'm just going to do that. So it was a symbolic kind of gesture. Then when Moses came on the scene and God gave him the law, he said, "No, we're going to make this explicit. It's got to be 10% of all your flocks, and it's got to be the first fruits of all your agriculture." So when you go through and you harvest stuff, the first harvest is God's. And you're needing to bring that to Jerusalem, and you need to party. You need to celebrate. You need to cheer. You need to rejoice in the pleasure of what God has given to you. And you're going to use these resources to party with God's people. And make sure you take care of the poor when you do that. So you're partying, invite all the poor people. Invite all the people who don't have any income. Invite the Levites, the priests who serve at the temple, and throw a massive party and give all the leftovers to them. And then once every 3 years, God said, "Don't party, just take it and give it to them so they can be taken care of." And in Malachi, we find out they haven't been doing that stuff throughout the years. They haven't been tithing. They haven't been giving the first fruits. And the end result is God says, "You've been stealing." So, have you ever received $1 that you didn't give God 10% of that? I found $1 on the ground the other day. I've got a dime around here somewhere. Right here in my pocket, I think. Nope, just a nickel. Didn't even come prepared. There we go. There's 9 cents. Can't even do it. Stealing from God. I didn't deserve that dollar. I didn't work for it. Showed up on the ground. I was next to it. No one else was around there. I couldn't take it to a lost and found. It was just in the middle of a parking lot. God gave me $1, and I kept 100%. We are all guilty of stealing from God. He has given us so many good things. He's given us good food. This last week, when Brandon and I were in Atlanta on the first day of this conference, Wednesday, we went out to Subway for lunch. And Subway has those $5 footlongs. Now, God has designed me for about 5.5 inches. I'm designed by God for about 5.5 inches of a sandwich. A sandwich the way I pile it full on at Subway. That's about my deal. 5.5 inches. And a glass of water, that's what God designed me for. And not the salami stuff, but maybe some turkey and some ham. My heart was not designed for salami. My blood vessels were not designed for salami and pastrami and high cholesterol kinds of meats. And so I didn't get the salami. I was good. I was a good boy. I didn't get the salami, but I got the $5 footlong. And I ate the whole darn thing. I stole from God because He gives me a body that needs a certain amount, and I shoved in there more than was necessary. That's called gluttony, and it's also a form of stealing from God. He is the God who keeps giving good things to us, and we keep taking. All week long, I just stuffed my face from restaurant to restaurant to restaurant, and I ate way too much, and now I've got a whole week of running on the treadmill ahead of me. As if I got to pay off that stuff from my calorie debt that I'm in, whatever, But this is the deal. Everything in our lives, when we take what He has not given, we are stealing. Even consumer credit can be that way. It's like Achan. I can't wait. I need that wedge of gold now. And all of you know the same truth, that overabundance of consumer credit can cause destruction. Okay, so what do? God owns the world. We've treated the world like it's ours. We are guilty as Achan, as guilty as Achan's family, and we deserve, like Achan, death. See, it seems a little dramatic when we say this kind of stuff, like, okay, so I didn't put